You hear people talk about old souls and new souls, and I've always kind of wondered, like, yeah, I don't know about that. Like, yeah, old souls, new souls, but aren't we actually all the same age? Aren't we all just eternal? Is there really old or new? Aren't we all just the same God consciousness, birthed at the same time? How I'm thinking about it now is that souls never stop being born, and the unending expansion of the universe is new souls constantly being born. And what came to me in a meditation recently was that the soul has a beginning but no end. I was like, wow, that's a really interesting way to say it. The soul has a beginning but no end. Within eternity, there is still time in the sense that time is change and change never ends. And in the infinite expansion of the universe, there is always change and there are new beginnings, but not endings. Endings in the sense of change, but not endings in the sense of eternal life, the eternal life that every soul is gifted. The birthing of a soul is the gifting of eternal, individual, unique life. How many souls are there? I would say, well, I don't know, but however many there are now, there's going to be more. And even that, of course, is given free will choice. So if you were born and you didn't want to be an individual anymore, you could probably go back into the void, into the source. But the birthing of a soul is the gift of eternal individual life. The Big Bang of the universe expanding itself is the source consciousness multiplying itself into individual free will beings within its consciousness. And that never stops. And because it never stops, there's infinite potential and infinite change. Even God gets to be surprised by what we choose. We are a gift to God because we make something new. The idea that God already knows everything places a limit on the ever-expanding universe and goes against the truth of infinity. There is no end to experience, so not everything can be known. It's not like there's this place outside of space and time in which God knows everything that has ever been and ever will be. God knows everything that has ever been, but not everything that will ever be. Because the potential is actually limitless and unknown through its infinity. And this is made possible by free will individual souls being born that can choose something new that surprises God. Though you are eternal, you actually could have been birthed as a soul at a different time than another soul, because another soul might have been one of the first ones to emanate from the Big Bang expansion of consciousness, and you were part of the fractal that came later, and that is your beginning, but you then have no end. We've heard God talked about as the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, but that end is just the edge of infinity fractaling outward, the edge of the unknown and unexperienced. A rewording could say, when God's talking, could say, I am the beginning and the edge of infinity. Maybe in the beginning there was one, and then that one was like, hey, what if I was more than one? And then now we got infinite ones. The moment the universe started expanding was the moment that God created individual free will souls. That allowed for expansion. There's a lot of different words that people use for God. In this context, saying source is really a pretty applicable one. Source that experiences everything that comes from it. Is God really the unchanging, or is God changed? Because the fractal that was at the beginning of the Big Bang of consciousness is not the same as it was then. God is not the same. Creation is not the same and never will be. It's unending change. Is God the unchanging? Certain principles of how this works. Love, truth, change, infinity. Unchanging. Everything else changing. So when people say God is love, maybe that's because that's the one thing that doesn't change, even if it appears to. Though saying that it doesn't change is probably a fallacy, because though it pervades everything, it always changes. Love always changes. It is all pervasive, but also all changing. And your beginning as a soul is uniquely different from anyone else's, and your entire journey as a soul is uniquely different from anyone else's, and it is the unknown and the infinite potential becoming something that has never been before and will never be by anyone else in any other way. Your birth as a soul and the eternal life that was gifted to you through that is a gift to God, as you get to choose something unique and surprise God every day. People typically refer to old souls as the ones that are more wise and compassionate and loving, etc., and new souls as maybe more naive, whatever. I don't know that that's necessarily the case, possibly, but I think that every soul is so effing unique that where we are at any given time, we can choose to embody more and more love, even if we go into a space of forgetfulness with that. But even old souls perhaps can fall into a state of darkness, and new ones don't have to. And, it's not quite like that. But each individual soul journey is so unique, and in every moment we choose what we are becoming, and whatever we choose, dark or light, will ultimately be what makes us uniquely ourselves and having our own unique journey. And as part of the infinite possibility, it's likely possible to go back and forth between the different points of the expansion of the fractal. So if you wanted to go back into a point at which the fractal was like this big rather than this big, then you probably could do that through the free will of your soul, and that would change everything, and that would be part of the infinite change. Anyway, thanks for listening.